Hello, beautiful bookish people. My name is Hannah, and today I just want to talk about my new favorite book.
Yep, that's me.
So, if you don't know, my new favorite book I discovered at the end, literally the tail end of 2020, and it was called Places No One Knows by Brenda Jovanoff. And today, I just want to sit down and talk about why I think everybody should read this book. I haven't done that many reviews on this channel, so I think this should just prove and emphasize just how good this book is. Because I think Places No One Knows combines everything I love about YA literature. It's a character-driven plot with this surrealism writing style that adds to the atmosphere of the book, mixed with this exploration of teenage apologetics while also having the discussion of perception.
Whoa!
This book was made for me, but also for you, and I'll tell you why. I think I knew from page 15 that I was gonna like this book because it makes a reference to Machiavelli and the movie Heathers. Because I think that perfectly sums up what YA literature should be. It combines the John Green philosophical side of teenagers pondering the meaning of life while also ingraining it in pop culture. I don't know if you can tell my Twitter notifications are on, as they struggle with cliques and discovering who they are as a person, while also maybe dealing with the problems of the world for the first time, all in high school, which is difficult on its own. I do think this book is able to perfectly tiptoe the hyper-realistic side of high school while also submerging it in surrealism. Somehow. You may ask how, but I will answer with Brenda Jovanoff is a genius. So this book is about this girl named Waverly as she is entering either her junior or senior year of high school, and her whole year has kind of been planned out for her based on her kind of controlling best friend Mary Beth. Waverly has insomnia and runs at night to kind of keep herself sane. And one night lights this candle and is able to walk into the dreams of a guy named Marshall. And Marshall is honestly the best bad boy with a heart of gold archetypes that I've ever seen, because it's so believable. So in these dreams, they get to know each other, they have meaningful conversations, they know their deepest, darkest fears and anxieties, but they don't necessarily know what their favorite movie is, because they're getting to know their core at the very beginning first. And that's what this book is about. It's a beautiful character study mixed with fabulism elements that somehow add to the story. But I will say, if you like your magic explained, if you want to know why can Waverly walk into the dreams of some random guy named Marshall, gonna have to say this book is not for you. But if you're here for the unexplained mischief of teenagers with beautiful, beautiful conversations, yes, 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 please read this. I am convinced that Booksandlala would love this book. Can someone please get her to read it? Because if she reads it, so many more people will. So Kayla, if you're watching this, please pick this book up. I think you'll like it. If I could hand this book to you, I would. I would literally go to Canada. But right now we're going to talk about just more about what I liked about this book. And it's kind of going to get into some spoilery range. So if you really want to know nothing about this book, I would say goodbye. See you later, alligator. Please read Brenda Jovanoff and Debater. That was a rhyme off the top of my head, and I'm sorry. But the point is, maybe spoilers. I think it's really hard to write compelling characters. And I don't mean likable or interesting characters. I mean truly characters that defy your expectations. So this book has a dual perspective between Marshall and Waverly, and Marshall is just this angsty boy trying to deal with a little bit of past trauma and daddy issues. And Waverly, how do I explain Waverly? Waverly is this like self-designed perfect girl that doesn't know how to handle herself. If I were to describe her, it would be like trying to be the perfection personified that people want her to be. And what I think this book does really well is each character in the story has their own discussion or topic that the author is trying to explore. Like Waverly has her inner turmoil about how she constantly feels like she's wearing a mask even in front of her best friend. Mary Beth, who's Waverly's best friend, who is this sort of mean girl with a lot of insecurities, and it's kind of like the downfall of ambition. And then you have a character like Autumn, who's one of Marshall's friends, and she has never worn a mask in her life, and she's very genuine, but because of that, she isn't able to read the room as well. So everyone in this book has motives and reasonings for why they're doing things. Everyone navigates the world with their best interests in mind. And you can see that with every character. Like at the very end, there's this big blow up between Waverly and Mary Beth. And this entire time, you're never really liked Mary Beth, and I don't think you were ever really supposed to like Mary Beth, because she does the thing that girls do where we're petty but disguise it as trying to be nice. And sometimes it's these like little digs that girls do that can eventually just cause an explosion at the end. Like Mary Beth constantly calls Waverly a robot because she doesn't feel like she actually has emotion. Was it because Waverly doesn't have emotion, or is it because Mary Beth just never bothered to ask? And so we're kind of building up on this toxic friendship, but it's all from the perspective of Waverly. So when there is a final blow up, you see like this line that's very sincere from Mary Beth of like, Mary Beth's planned out this entire year and expected Waverly to be there for her, and yet she's for the first time feeling distance. And she doesn't know how to deal with that, so she's lashing out, yes, in an unhealthy way, but you do, at that confrontation, understand why. So this lashing out obviously comes out from a place of hurting, but you also see suddenly her perspective of how Waverly wasn't communicating any of her feelings. So how is Mary Beth supposed to change if we're not telling her how we're feeling? But on the topic of Mary Beth, I just want to say I loved her, even though I don't think we were supposed to love her. I think it comes from my love of loving Mean Girls, the movie by Tina Fey, and just loving girl psychology. Because I think there was like this really brilliant conversation that Brenna has with Mary Beth's characters of like the difference between introverts and extroverts isn't how their battery gets charged, but it's how they interact with people. So there's like there's this great little piece of dialogue that Mary Beth has at the very beginning of the book where Waverly comes in and she's like, I don't feel like smiling, and Mary Beth's like, smiling isn't something you feel, it's a face you put on to make other people feel good and safe and secure. And I think that's what I think makes like Mary Beth feel like a very genuine mean girl, because of their like her manipulation of power. Like people who are popular in high school are like very smart and ambitious, and I think I was just tired of seeing like ditzy mean popular girls when like no. Like when girls don't like you, they have a plan of attack. And I think Mary Beth is just an exploration of that. The need for ambition that is wrapped in insecurity. Does that make sense? I hope so. But I guess we can talk about the romance right now, because that is 90% of the plot. The romance is about breaking down walls and feeling exposed and letting someone in, even when they did make a mistake. And I think Brenna is able to showcase this like perfectly, because it wasn't perfect. The mistakes they make in the relationship feel so genuine that it hurts more because of how realistic it is. because these two characters are able to communicate in each other's dreams, it leaves both of them feeling exposed and terrified because it's a completely new territory that they've never been before. And I feel like some people are gonna come for the romance of like it was insta love, but like if someone walked into my dream and we were having beautiful conversations about life and love, why did I want to say liberty, then of course I would fall for them too. Because for both characters, it forces them to face a reality. For Waverly, feeling like someone knows her without a mask, and for Marshall, feeling like someone will finally accept him with all his baggage out in the open. And I think that is also a thing that this book does really well, is sometimes Brenna makes it difficult to like these characters, but because of their struggles, it's somehow impossible not to love them. I think anybody can relate to Waverly because I think we've all kind of had that struggle with perception and like struggling with how we're being perceived. I think this book is brilliant. I don't think everyone's gonna like it because people like their magic explained. They like to know why characters do certain things, but sometimes we don't know. And I think that's what's beautiful about YA is their ability for unapologetics. They don't have to explain their reasonings. Teenagers have a feeling and then go for it. And I think that this book explores that really well. And I'm convinced I've peaked. I'm convinced that I will never find a book that like hits all my buttons like this one does. And I will never again love another book that my intensity for this book is. Because I think it's literally everything I could have ever asked for in a book. Strong characters that are flawed, weird fabulism elements mixed with philosophical conversations, and sometimes stupid conversations, which is beautiful because not every conversation you have has to be groundbreaking. So, I don't know. I hope I did a good job of explaining what I love about this book. I think it's beautiful and extremely well crafted. Its lines are like poetry, but the good kind of poetry that doesn't explain its metaphors and allows you to put your own nuances into the story. And overall, I think a character that everybody can kind of relate to in some form of fashion. So, anywho, gosh dang, it's so hard to talk about books you love. But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Keep reading and all that jazz. Gotta fix this a little bit. Okay. Mom, I can hear you and it's making me insecure. Like Waverly has her inner toy. What? Do you wanna come to the after party? Pretty, please. Come on, get it together, Hannah. Create a thumbnail. Pretty, please. What even is that song?
Do you wanna come to the after party with me?